Today is the final day of Birthukkah. It is actually my birthday. Do I look older? Today is Saturday. Today is my 31st birthday, and I wanted to share 31 things about me. Number one, let's start at the beginning. I was supposed to be born on election day, but like everything else in my life, I was late. Like crazy late, like 2 weeks late. Number two, I have two little sisters. I'm the oldest of three girls. Number three, my parents named me Christina because there are tons of different ways you can shorten it and nickname it. Christy, Tina, Chrissy, but then promptly never called me anything but Christina. So that leads straight into number four. I gave myself a nickname, Stee, which is short for Christina, when I was a sophomore in high school. Number five, my first car was a 1982 Chevy Suburban. I dare you to go Google that if you don't know what those look like already. And then imagine high school Steve driving around in one. It was epic. Number six, I have two cats who are girls, but they are named for male TV characters. And yes, I recognize that this is kind of bowing to the patriarchy, but my girls do not recognize gender roles. So they are named after two awesome characters from a show that we love. I had a dog who's also named for a TV character from that same show, but he doesn't live with me anymore. He lives with his other mother and his new dad. Here's number eight. I'm not a picky eater, but I do not like mushrooms or olives. Those are my big two that I don't like. I'll try just about anything else. Cow intestines, yeah, gives me tongue, whatever. I have not tried fermented shark. I should have done that when I had the chance, but I didn't because I was scared. Number nine, I subscribe to Mindy Kaling's statement that a best friend is not a person, it is a tier. I stand very strongly by that. So number 10, that said, I have a bunch of best friends, including the one that I've had the longest. We've known each other since we were 3. Kind of going with that. At number 11, I've been in 2 quinceañeras, which are the 15th, instead of a sweet 16 in Mexican American culture, the like coming of age party for young women is called a quinceañera, and I was in 2 of those when I was 15. Number 12, my closet, like this bookshelf behind me, is arranged in Roy G. Biv order. It makes it very easy to get dressed in the morning. It's the only thing in my clothes-wise that is organized, though. Speaking of clothes, I love thrift store shopping and like vintage clothes shopping. It's not easy to find clothes that fit me because I'm a voluptuous person, and it's not easy to find plus-size vintage clothes, but I love shopping for them. And at any given time, whatever I'm wearing, in whatever outfit I'm wearing, there's something that I got at Goodwill or that I got at a thrift store or in a vintage clothing store. And if you dare say that you like something that I'm wearing, I will immediately brag about how little it cost me, including this dress, which is like $4.99, and it has a ruffle, and it's awesome, and it's like obviously handmade, and it's paisley, and it looks really nice on me. This is number, if you are not keeping track of yourself at home, this is number 14. I love Wonder Woman. I've talked about her before on this channel. I've talked about books, but I will make anything I can into Wonder Woman. I've made a Nutcracker into a Wonder Woman. I have several like casual cosplays that are Wonder Woman themed. If it's still long enough, I'll make it into Wonder Woman. And going with that, number 15, I love to craft. I like to make things and create things and paint on things. So number 16, I especially love painting. I especially love painting on things that you normally do not paint on. So I'll paint on canvases and paper and stuff, but I really, really like to paint on objects. If it's wood, cool. I really like to paint on hubcaps. For a while, I made people jump out of cars at stoplights to pick up hubcaps on the side of the road for me. And I like to paint like street or like road and landscape scenes on them. I've also painted large car doors and like corrugated plastic. I like to paint on acorns. I like to paint on dishware, like plates and bowls and cups and stuff like that. Yeah, I like to paint on anything. Number 17, I am an ambivert, which is halfway between an extrovert and an introvert. And at any given time, I'm leaning one way or the other. So I love to be in groups of people, and I'm really outgoing. And sometimes that gives me a lot of energy, and I just like bounce off it, and I go and go and go and go and can go all day. And then other times I really, really need to go home and be by myself and be quiet and recharge. I love to travel. I have been to Australia, the UK, Spain, and Iceland, and Canada and Mexico, and many states in this country. And I just really like traveling and seeing new things, and I want to go back to all of those places that I just mentioned, and I want to go to all the other places that I want to go in the world. Number 19, the next big trip that I'm planning in the future, it will be for my 40th birthday. I took myself to Iceland for my 30th birthday, and there'll be things in between, but my next super big one is going to be Bhutan. I really want to go to Bhutan in the mountains in Asia, and they measure their GDP in happiness. I think that's really cool. Number 20, speaking of the world, I own a Cold War era globe, which I think is really cool. It was the library's, and someone pointed out one day that it still had the USSR on it and East and West Germany. So I said, you know what, we should really get an updated version of this, and I'm gonna take this home with me. So now I have it. Speaking of the library, number 21, I've never not worked in a library. I've done other things, like I've babysat and I've tutored and I've done things like that. I worked at a computer help desk in college for a little while. Those were jobs like on top of other things, and I've always worked in a library. I turned in my application to work at my town library on my 16th birthday, and I worked in my college library all through college, and I worked at the library that I work at now in the summers in between. And I just haven't looked back. It's always been where I wanted to be. But I didn't always know that I needed to be a librarian. I just thought, oh, I'll just work in libraries until then. Number 22, I remember the exact moment when I realized that being a librarian was my career, what I needed to be. And I remember it very vividly. I was sitting in the Barnes & Noble magazine section of the Barnes & Noble in downtown Fort Worth, which is no longer there. We're waiting to go see a movie. The movie was The Passion of the Christ, and I was reading Miss Magazine, and there was an article on why librarians are awesome, and I had an epiphany, and I was like stunned and realized that's what I'm here to do. That's what I need to be doing. Why am I doing other things right now? Because number 23, before I knew that I wanted to be a librarian, I was studying to be an interior designer. And that's very different. Number 24, as you can probably see, I have very thick hair, and I have a lot of it. And I have a very sensitive scalp, and I'm very impatient when it comes to my hair and just everything in life. So to make things easier for myself and my mom kept my hair cut really, really short when I was a little kid. And up until puberty, I was regularly mistaken for a boy, which at the time really bothered me. And now I don't really care, and I love when my hair's short, and nobody's gonna think that I'm a boy these days because puberty. Also, 25, since high school, I've always kind of wanted to shave my head, like just have it completely shaven. And I just think that'd be really cool and a fun thing to try out. But the thing holding me back from that is that I know that the second I do it, I'm gonna have two things. I would either immediately have a sunburn and just have a sunburn indefinitely because I live in Texas, or two, I would be so cold all the time and I would just wear a hat, and it would be pointless to have no hair if you're just wearing a hat over it all the time. But number 26, if I did shave my head, I'd be okay because I own at least 6 wigs. Number 27, going off on a completely different tangent, I love octopi, but I am terrified by the very idea that giant squid exist. They're huge, like why? They only have one eye, they've got beaks. That doesn't need to be a thing. No, octopi, yes. I love them. They're like super intelligent, they can camouflage themselves. Like maybe they're not as nice as I imagine they are, but they're not as scary to me as giant squid. Number 28, my biggest fear in life is probably Christopher Walken. And I can't explain it, except I can. Have you ever seen Christopher Walken? Have you ever like watched a movie with him in it? Have you ever heard him speak? He's terrifying. I don't ever want to meet Christopher Walken. Number 29, my first celebrity crush was probably Patrick Stewart on Star Trek The Next Generation as Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Did you ever have these when you were little? Like you didn't realize it was a crush, you just really liked a person and you couldn't describe why they made you feel, or what you didn't know what you were feeling, and then later you went back and maybe you watched an episode or saw that person again, or you talked about it with somebody and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I was like attracted to that person. That person for me was probably Jean-Luc Picard. There might have been other ones before that, but that's like one of the first conscious ones. Along those lines, number 30, my first OTP, my one true pairing, was most likely, no, not most likely, it definitely was, because I remember like watching them and being like, oh, like my heart would like jump and I'd get these little, you know, when your heart like has a pang for them. But that is Fraulein Maria and Captain Von Trapp from The Sound of Music, which I watched a lot as a kid because my mom loves Rodgers and Hammerstein. Which that brings us to number 31, our last fact today anyways. So number 31 is I have what I think is healthy and what other people, I don't know, I don't care what other people think. I have very good self-esteem. So much so that my family likes to jokingly refer to me as vain, which bothers me, even though I know that they're doing it good-naturedly, like they don't mean anything bad by it, and they're not trying to hurt my feelings or anything. But it took me several decades to like look in the mirror and like and be proud of what was looking back, both like visually and like with what I've accomplished and the kind of person I am. And I know that a lot of people don't have that. They don't look in the mirror and see someone that they like or someone that they're proud of or admire. And I'm just really happy that I've come to this part in my life relatively early that I like myself. I'm not perfect, but I like myself. I like lots of things about myself, and I hope that showing how much I like myself and happy with myself is a good example, especially since I work with kids and teenagers. I hope that I set a good example for them in that way. And I wanted to end with, if you are not there yet, if you don't look in the mirror and love who you see and you know, just love little parts of yourself, like, oh, I really like my eyes, or I really like how my hair looks today, or, you know, my butt looks really good in these jeans, like even if it's something superficial like that, if you don't feel that way about yourself now, I hope that you keep working on it and you get there one day, and that until you do, you can be gentle with yourself and the things that you don't like about yourself yet, and know that you are a work in progress. And even at 31, I'm still finding out new things about myself and learning and pushing myself to be a better, more person. Thank you so much for joining me for Birthukkah 2015. I really love making these videos, and hopefully soon I'll get back to making ones about books. But make sure you do all those nice things you could do on YouTube. So like this video, subscribe to the channel if you don't already, comment below, tell me some random things about yourself. If I don't know you in person, anything that I will learn about you will be random. And if I do know you in person, share something I might not know about you. And if you would be so kind, share this. And whenever your birthday is, I hope you have a wonderful one, like I probably will. All right, that's it for me.